Our day is not over just yet.
Woohoo! USA! USA!
We have an action-packed hour for you 6 p.m. drivers.
Would I rather be feared or loved? Easy, both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me.
Max Scherzer wraps up a full day of live and local sports talk.
And that is the whole problem with aliens. You just can't trust them. Occasionally you meet a nice one, but usually they turn out to be some kind of big lizard.
The Skraby Show starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for February 26, 2025. Thank you so much to everybody who joined us during Gwen and Chris. Thank you to Michael Flicks, as always. One real quick thing I wanted to correct before we moved any further. We had a Carlsbad basketball coach come into our YouTube chat and let us know. I know we threw a lot of dates and times and all that stuff out there at you, but Montgomery and Carlsbad is going to be on Friday at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. on Friday. That's where Montgomery and Carlsbad, that's what they're doing. They're playing. So not instead of Saturday, it is Friday. Just want everybody to be clear on that. So I'm just triple confirming. But yes, it does say Friday, February 28th, 2025 at 7 p.m. So if you're interested in that game, then just make sure you know the exact time that you're going. But that should be a good game. Carlsbad is always good at sports. You know, but in high school, when I went to La Costa Canyon, Carlsbad was not technically, I guess it wasn't really technically a rival. I don't know why our rival is Torrey Pines, but whenever we played Carlsbad, it was always pretty crazy because Carlsbad has some good sports teams throughout the years. And I believe, I'm not sure if he's going to start, but the Carlsbad quarterback from 2 years ago, Julian Sayin, he was committed to Alabama and then he ended up going to Ohio State. I don't know if he's going to be a starter or anything this year, but Carlsbad has some good players that they put out there. But that is the game for Friday at 7 p.m. Carlsbad and Montgomery. All right, so the Padres today, if you're just getting off work and you're wondering what happened today in Padres spring training, and what happened today was the Padres won the game, but they also played the White Sox. And I guess what I could say about this is, A, it's a spring training game, so we shouldn't get too excited about it. But B, they did what they needed to do. They won the game. The White Sox had 4 errors today. So they made things much easier on the Padres. Like in the top of the second, the Padres scored. Connor Joe scored because Oscar Gonzalez reached on a fielding error. And then you have, Forrest Wall homering late in the game to put them up 2-1. Mike Tauchman hit a home run for the White Sox. But the pitching has been so good for the Padres in spring training so far. And today, Ryan Berger, who started the first game of spring training, he started the game today, and he went 2 innings, struck out 2, gave up nothing. No hits, no walks, no runs, nothing like that. Obviously, if you give up no hits, you don't really give up any runs. But Jason Adam was also in the game today. He pitched the 3rd inning. He went an inning, gave up nothing. Wandy Peralta, he struggled somewhat with his command. He walked a batter and gave up a hit and struck out a batter in the inning. Alek Jacob is a guy that I really am thinking more and more about as a guy for the bullpen. He went an inning, didn't give up a hit, no runs, no walks, 2 Ks. So things definitely are looking good on the Padres side of things. And in the end, the Padres only gave up 2 hits to the White Sox today. So that's pretty good. One from Wandy Peralta and the other from Ock. He gave up the home run to Tauchman. So not much going on for the White Sox today, but the Padres are able to get some things done. Jake Cronenworth had a hit today. He went 1 for 2. Xander Bogaerts walked. He went 0 for 1 with a walk. Jackson Merrill went 0 for 2. So it was a struggling offensive day. But what I can say is that Tirso Ornelas has been continuing to put pressure on the front office to make him a part of this team on opening day. Tirso Ornelas came in today. He went 1 for 1. He scored a run. He ended up getting home on an error as well, but it doesn't matter. He's still hitting. Every time he gets in there, he's hitting. He's 500 so far in spring, and he's been getting a a pretty good look in spring. Let me go to his game logs in the spring training this year, just to let everybody know. He's played 5 games this year. Again, he's hitting .500. He is 5 for 10. I know not a lot of numbers with 2 walks. So his OBP is .583. I know I'm breaking down Tirso Ornelas's spring training stats, but he's worth it. He's worth me kind of looking into it. I like these stories of these guys who have really played a long time in the minor leagues, and finally they're getting the chance that they needed. Let's see. He's been in the league since 2017. He has the highest he's played is, I'm just making sure I got it. Yeah, El Paso. AAA. Last year he hit .297 for El Paso, 23 bombs, 89 RBIs. So I'm starting to think more and more, I got to give the credit to the Padres fans out there and the people on the chat, because I kept seeing a bunch of people telling me about Tirso Ornelas, and to be honest, the first part when I was reading this, I was thinking, oh, okay, maybe this is just some guy that's maybe going to get a shot in spring training. But the more you look at it, the more you see him in spring training, the more you think there's a really good shot for him to make this team. Oscar Gonzalez, who started hot, he cooled off a little bit. He went 0 for 3 today. Mike Brasso, he went 1 for 3, struck out twice. But this left field battle is still going, and I love to see it. Campy, he went 1 for 2 today. And Connor Joe doubled today. So some of the guys that you wanted to see doing things, they did do things today. But again, it's just against the White Sox. I don't try. I try not to get too excited about these things, but it's just like, it's fun. It's fun to see the Padres win, number one, even though it doesn't mean anything. And it's fun to see what we're going to be looking at throughout the rest of the year. And what we're looking at is a pretty heavy battle for left field. Oh, I forgot Forrest Wall put himself in the mix today. Forrest Wall, someone that they picked up before spring training. He went 2 for 2, and he hit a home run in the 8th inning off of, wait for it, Dan Altavilla, former Padre. That guy, I mean, he kind of disappeared after he was injured, but he was the one who took the loss today for the White Sox. It's never a good thing when you end up on the White Sox. We also had a Steven Wilson sighting on the White Sox today. He went in an inning and he struck out too. So there's the breakdown of today's Padres win over the White Sox. A couple other news stories that came out of Padres camp today. Fernando Tatis Jr. has made it back to the team after battling the flu for a pretty long while. Sam was saying that they hadn't seen him in a little bit. So he was back, and he faced Nick Pivetta on the backfield today. And it's Sam, if you were listening earlier, Sam Levitt was the one who put up the video of Nick Pivetta and Fernando battling. But Sam was saying he's stuck in a moral dilemma, because he's putting up a home run of Fernando, but he's also putting up a home run that Nick Pivetta gave up. So it's like, what do I do? Do I put up the home run? Of course you put up the home run of Fernando. And Sam also wanted me to make sure that everybody knew that Nick Pivetta struck out Fernando twice before he hit that home run. But it's nice to see Fernando back out there, and it's nice to see Fernando hitting a home run after having the flu. Bradley Rodriguez, is he a guy we should pay attention to? And I think he's another one of those bullpen guys that we should pay attention to. He's had 2 outings in the spring so far, not much to draw from, but he's had 2 innings, no hits, struck out 3 batters. So if there's a guy you kind of want to look for, maybe he could backdoor his way into the bullpen, or maybe he's a guy that they're going to keep close to the team so that they can bring him up. Alek Jacob, another one. Alek Jacob, in the time that I've seen Alek Jacob, for the most part, I feel like I've seen enough to know that I think that he could be pretty good for the Padres bullpen. A lot of people talk about his delivery and how his delivery is funky, and his the way that he uses his pitch mix, he's able to get guys out. And last year he had 7 games with the Padres. He gave up 4 earned runs. I'm pretty sure that he gave up those runs. Let me just go to his game log just real quick before I tell everybody falsity. I guess he gave it up over several outings, but so that kind of dismantles my theory a little bit. But for the most part, I think Alek Jacob is a guy that they can rely and count on. His career numbers in the regular season, 10 games, not much, but 2.04 ERA, 17 and 2/3 pitched. He struck out 24 batters. His whip is 0.68. I think he could be pretty dangerous. I think that he could be someone that we're going to see a lot of down the stretch this year. I could see him pitching late in the game when they need some sort of change of pace guy. I guess I know you don't really call it a change of pace guy in baseball, but the way I envision it is that when you got guys that are just throwing heat all the time, and then you have Alek Jacob who throws his not slow pitches, but they're definitely not as fast as, guys with power pitches. But I would like to see Alek Jacob get more of a chance this year. Like I said, in his time with the Padres, he only had 3 games in 2023, but last year in stretches he was really good, and I think that we could see him a little bit further into the season. What else do we have from the Padres today? We got, going back to my notes, making sure I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing here. That seems to be it for the Padres today. It's not much to write home about, not much to really talk about on that front, because there's not much that happened. But Ben and Woods were out there, and they interviewed a ton of players this morning from spring training. So make sure you go to their social media, Ben and Woods, or you go to 973thefansd.com and check out all of those interviews. I mean, they were visited by a ton of guys, and we already played Luis Arraez, which I really encourage you to go listen to the Luis Arraez interview because he's hilarious. And I really thought it was funny that Ben asked him about going to Paris, and he said he hated Paris, which is kind of hilarious to me for some reason. I don't really know why it's hilarious to me, but he seems like this is I said it a few weeks ago. He's a guy that you want on the team. He's a guy that you want. He's a guy that the Padres. I've said this a million times, but he fits with the team so well that I think that they need to do something to keep him for the future. And I know that there are some people out there that just are not into what Luis Arraez brings, but I think we have to look at the quote unquote intangibles. I think that we have to look at what he brings to the team, not just what he brings in the batter's box, but the kind of mentality he brings, his work ethic. He really does genuinely seem like he loves playing for this team. He really genuinely, I think, appreciates that the Padres wanted him and they took him in, and they are valuing him because in his career, he hasn't really been valued as much as I think he would want. But he was kind of a throwaway with the Twins. He was kind of a throwaway with the Marlins, but then the Padres get him and he wins another batting title. Winning a batting title is so hard in baseball. Winning 3 in a row is astronomical to me. Like, it just doesn't usually happen unless you have a great of the greats. And Luis Arraez is one of those guys that's done it 3 years in a row, and he's done it for 3 different teams. I just love his attitude. I love what he brings. And even though he doesn't really want to play first base, I think we can all kind of sense that he doesn't want to play first base. Even though he doesn't want to, he's going to. And he said last week that he's going to play the position that gets him in the lineup, which is first base. Now, am I still a little worried about everyday Luis Arraez first baseman? Yes. I'm a little worried about, making sure that he is healthy throughout the year, but I'm not going to think that it's really going to affect him all that much because of what we saw last year with the torn thumb ligament. Still getting on base, still winning a batting title. But I didn't expect to go on this Luis Arraez quote-unquote rant, but I'm happy I did because Luis Arraez is someone we need to talk about more often. I want to keep him in town. It's something that I need, AJ Preller. So that's what we got going on with the Padres today. All right. I forgot for a second if I was doing Gwynn and Chris or if I was doing the Skraby Show. I am doing the Skraby Show. So that is a good thing because I'm in the right place right now. But when we get back here on the Skraby Show, we're going to talk about the NFLPA and the NFLPA grades. And I have to tell you about some of these things that the players are saying about the teams that I cannot believe these NFL teams do not provide to their players. So I'll reveal those things when we get back on 97.3 The Fan.
Greg Elston for Underdog, the best.
Well, Dylan, I think the first obvious question, long hair, long beard, is have you had a shave since the last game of the season?
I don't think so.
Man.
I don't think so.
That's great.
Why is that?
Just changing it up. Why not? You know?
Okay. All right. I'm jealous of the beard because I'm a guy who likes to grow a beard, but your beard, how long did that take to grow?
I think this is 3 months, maybe.
3
Now,
months.
now
Okay.
is this going to stay as we get into spring? Are you going to keep it? Because I don't think I've ever seen you. I've seen the beard before. I don't think I've ever seen the hair.
No, I haven't had hair like this since I was 12. I'll probably keep it. We'll see how it performs, really.
That's the key.
That's
How
the
does it
biggest thing.
perform?
That's the biggest thing.
Speaking of perform, how you feeling, man? Obviously, spring training right around the corner. Pitchers and catchers report. This is the time of year where the green light goes on again.
Yeah, I feel good. Working on a bunch of different stuff. Biggest thing is really just getting the body to feel good and getting ramped up. But I feel like I'm on track.
How do you deal in terms of getting yourself ready each and every year? You know, ball players are notorious for always trying to figure out how to get a little bit better. You're probably one of the most consistent guys in our league. Is there as much a focus on finding ways to get better, or is the focus how to continue on the path that you've been on, which is a guy who can get in a lot of innings every year?
I mean, I guess it kind of depends on what part of the offseason I'm in and, you know, what I'm trying to work on. Like specifically this offseason, I've made a little mechanical adjustment, tinkering with some new pitches. But the bulk of it is just getting my body ready, really. I mean, that's the main focus, main priority. So I kind of know where I need to be in terms of like my velocity and bullpens and building up and all that. So I always like to think I'm adding. I'm definitely working on new pitches and exciting stuff like that. So at the end of the day, I kind of know that my four-seamer and my slider and my curveball are kind of going to be my main pitches.
Right.
So it's like no matter what, that's my base and foundation, and everything from there is just tinkering and just seeing if I can get a little bit better.
We're talking to... All of a sudden, my mic over there.
There you go.
Sorry. We're talking to Dylan Cease here,
Don't
Padres
panic.
starting pitcher. I wasn't panicking.
You look like you panicked.
I was panicking for one half.
He made me panic.
Did I look like I panicked?
You panicked a little bit, that's
all
all
right.
right.
Well, if Dylan says I panicked, then I panicked. I'm going to have to ask the question about, and I know you've been asked this today, but your name has been a part of a lot of trade rumors this year. I think Padres fans want you to stay here in San Diego. See, right there? How do you deal with that? Because I would imagine that would be hard.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's my second year in a row dealing with it, so I got experience now. It's just part of the business, I guess. Really, wherever I go, I'm gonna make the best of the opportunity. I love San Diego and I want to be here, so it's like if I don't go anywhere, I love it here. And if they trade me, then I just have to go make the best of it wherever I go.
Now, Dylan, you talked a little bit about working on new pitches and mechanics. For you, how long does a mechanical change take to be something where you don't have to think about it anymore?
Yeah, and that depends. This specific scenario, I'm working on an upper half thing, a glove thing. So I don't know. It's kind of new territory for me.
Yeah, so you're kind of figuring that out as you go.
Yeah, but it really gets to the point where it feels good, and then from there it's just ramping up the intensity. And because anytime you do something at a higher power or higher speed,
yeah,
it's like a new feeling altogether. So I can sit and train it one way, but until I'm throwing 98 with it.
Doing in game speed, yeah.
And a lot of it, is kind of like learning my body, and then I'll throw a pitch and it's like, oh, that didn't come out the way I wanted it to. Like specifically if I'm throwing a four-seam fastball and I'm trying to throw it just through somebody, but it's yanked, it's like, okay,
yeah, something
happened right there. I don't know, something came off. I didn't use my legs.
You could just feel something different about it.
And then you see the
Welcome back into the Skraby Show on 97.3 The Fan. I'm really hating technology right now. Technology has not been great to me today for some reason. I'm getting kind of frustrated. It's like one of those days where, you click something and it doesn't actually click that thing. And so I've had to refresh browsers a million times. I've had to re-click a million things. I'm pretty sure the chat has seen me shake my head angrily at the computer for the last maybe 5 minutes or so, but it's really annoying when technology doesn't work. We all rely on so much technology, and when it's not working for us, it sends me into Angerville. Yeah, Angerville, population me. The schedule for this week. So tomorrow we will still be having a Gwen and Chris. It will be Sammy and I until Tony gets there, but no Skraby Show tomorrow night. I'm sorry. I have to prepare for what I'm doing on Friday, which is hosting a Little League welcome parade, I think is how you say it. But I'm excited about that. Kind of nervous about it as well. We'll see what happens on that. But tomorrow night, no Skraby Show. And on Friday, there is no Skraby Show. But you will have some fresh Padres content on the air because they are going to be playing their game on Friday, and it's going to be here on the radio. I believe it starts at 5:30. Yes, the chat saw me shaking my head angrily at the computer, and Brandon said, or Gonzo said, we thought it was your imaginary friend. I do have an imaginary friend. I used to, at least. Haven't seen that guy in a while. All right, I'm going to stop making the bad jokes now, and we're going to move into some other sports talk, but the NFLPA. Now, this is one of my favorite things that has started, I guess, in the last 5 years or something. Has not gone on for a long time. But what it is they get votes from every single player of each team, and they ask them for ratings on every here's all the categories: treatment of families, food, dining area, nutritionist/dietitian, locker room, training staff, weight room, strength coaches, team travel, head coach, and ownership. So those are the things that they were rated on. And one of the things that I see here that completely shocks me about some teams, the Philadelphia Eagles got an F in their travel arrangements. Now, the Buffalo Bills also, I think they even got an F- for their travel. But the Eagles ranked 30 of 32 teams, and they say that the Eagles players feel that their team's travel schedule is not very efficient. 43% of Eagles players believe they have a comfortable amount of personal space on team flights, ranking them 30 out of 32. Now, here's my question. How do you have an NFL team and not provide them comfortable travel accommodations? You're an NFL team. You should be having the best of the best of the best. And the Eagles had to fly down to Brazil to start the year. I'm assuming that wasn't a comfortable ride if this is the kind of grade that they're giving them. But this is more impressive to me for the Eagles to win the Super Bowl, because honestly, you may think team travel might not be that big of a deal, but it is. Think about your travels through, whether you go somewhere for the holiday season or Thanksgiving. and these guys aren't going through security and all that, but still, traveling is kind of hectic and kind of tiring and all that. So it does shock me that the Eagles got an F for the travel. Now, the locker room for the Eagles also a D+, 25th out of 32 teams. 73% of players feel they have enough. They have enough room in their individual lockers, so that's 22 of 32. And 57% feel the locker room size is adequate, ranking them 28 out of 32 teams. So that's pretty shocking as well, that they do not have good locker room facilities. Now, here's the one I go and look at every single time. Treatment of families. Because I love seeing how these teams operate. And the Eagles are one of 3 teams that do not provide daycare during home games. They do provide a family room during home games, but they do not provide daycare during home games. Players rate the post-game family area 7.67. I shouldn't have read that one. Let's strike that from the record, everyone. The players feel that the team organizes family events a couple times per year, which ranks 28 of 32. So basically, what the Eagles are saying, give us some childcare and we'll feel a little bit better. Now, here's one that I thought was actually really funny, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had an overall rank of 27 of 32. And the Bucs grade, here's why the players didn't rate it very well. Players complain that the locker room is lackluster and it suffers from consistent plumbing issues and bad smells. The team was also docked for poor food quality and lack of variety. Players did praise most of the staff, including head coach Todd Bowles. Ownership for the Bucs got a D+. I would like to know if owners see these things and they see their ranking after the fact and they're like, really? I only got I got a D+? My players don't think I'm that good? I wonder if that either motivates them to do better or if it makes them want to double down and pretend like you are providing great things towards your team. I would think that most of these owners don't take it well that people don't like what they're doing, because they probably think, hey, I'm giving you everything that you need. But no, you're actually not to that owner, whoever said that to me. Mike Tomlin was a highly graded coach, but the Pittsburgh Steelers ranked 28th. Here's something I found interesting about my team. The 49ers are they the only other? Only one other team does this, but the 49ers, the biggest complaint from players was that the team charged for childcare during home games. Like, why? I don't understand why you would charge for daycare. Like, yeah, I understand that. I understand that things in life aren't free, but when you're playing a football game at home, don't you want to have your players' families there? That part is very strange, that you have to pay for childcare for the 49ers. Do they have the money? Yes. But these are things like you don't think that the NFL teams are actually doing. Like the Arizona Cardinals are always the worst in everything. And the Arizona Cardinals, once again, ranked 32nd. I don't even know why Cardinals players want to play there, honestly. The Cardinals players, here's the blurb. Cardinals players graded nearly every team facility poorly due to some combination of inadequate size to bad condition. They also say the food options are insufficient and they'd like family members to get sideline passes before games. Michael Bidwell is one of the worst rated owners in the NFL due to his perceived lack of willingness to invest in facilities. So Arizona Cardinals is a very sad place to play. And finally, the New York Jets. Let's go to them real quick, because the New York Jets got, their owner was ranked, I believe, the worst out of ownership was 32nd, 32 of 32 teams. The Jets actually went from 21st to 29th, but players were very unhappy with the facilities. They think the locker room is cramped and worn down, and players were particularly, that's a hard word for me to say, unhappy with owner Woody Johnson for his lack of investment and for creating a negative culture. I guarantee you Woody Johnson does not care because that's just seemingly the type of guy he is. The best team around football? Chris's Dolphins. Chris's Dolphins are the best team around football. They rank first out of 32. Everything from team facilities, people in the building, and owner Stephen Ross received A grades across the board. The report also mentions a newly renovated locker room at Hard Rock Stadium as a positive. Mike McDaniel was one of the best rated head coaches. Kevin O'Connell was the third best rated head coach. Here's something shocking too. I know I said finally, and then I keep going. The Patriots they're at 31st in the NFL. And you remember when Robert Kraft has planes, like he owns, I believe, 2 planes, but problems, I guess, with the Patriots, outdated locker room, weight room, and travel accommodations are the problems. Players calling out the team plane specifically. They say the plane is too small, doesn't offer Wi-Fi, and the seats still stunningly have ashtrays in the armrests. However, it's worth noting that they are building a new facility, everyone. So calm down, Patriots. It's going to probably improve these things. It's supposed to be done in 2026. When was the last time anybody saw an ashtray in a plane? I can't even think of the last time I saw that. I've never actually, because I think, well, I can't say this for sure because I don't remember when I was a baby, but I don't think I've ever flown while you were able to smoke on a plane. I cannot even imagine being on a plane and having it just full of cigarette smoke. That boggles my mind a little bit because it would just make everything stink. And think about all those people on the plane breathing all the lung particles from the smokers. Ugh, that is so gross. That is really gross. But if you were a smoker on a plane, that must have been fun for you back in the day. You didn't have to wait. I have seen smokers run from getting their bags to go outside so that they can smoke a cigarette, which, hey, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I had my vices. I'm not going to judge them for that, but it is kind of fun when you see them running out into the parking lot area so that they can smoke. But there you go. That is the NFLPA's report cards. I'm going to go tonight and read more and more and more about it. So, because I think it's fun. And the 49ers actually rated well. So there you go. All right. Oh, Gonzo says just crack a window. Are you kidding me? I know he's joking, but think about it. Think about it, people. Just roll down the window and all that smoke will fly out. Okay. I'm making some really, really terrible jokes today. And I'm kind of embarrassed about it, but I'm just going to keep moving forward. That's what we do here on the Skraby Shows. We just move forward. All right. We got a daily gripe. We also have a guy who was crazy enough to take public transportation in the state of California. I don't want to give away the story, but he took public transportation to go a very long way. So we'll talk about that on the other side on 97.3 The Fan.
The biggest guests in
final segment. Actually, final segment of the Skraby Show for the week. I'm sorry, everybody. We'll make this a good one. We'll make it a good one. And we got a daily gripe. And I have a daily gripe, and I'm not sure if this daily gripe is actually something that I'm just, it just is in my head, but we'll see if people judge me for this certain thing. But I feel judged when I do this. And so I am going to tell you all, and I'm hoping that no one is judging me out there for this. I love doing this. Every single time I go to this place, I do this. And that'll be at the end of the show, Daily Gripe. So I was just looking through. We're going to talk about that guy who took public transit. He went from San Francisco to Los Angeles using just public transit. And we'll tell you how he got through all of that in a little bit, because that sounded insane. And of course, I immediately clicked on it and I immediately said, hey, I need to talk about this. And so we will talk about that. The NFL also did some things today with some other competition committee things. They were saying that they need to do something with the onside kick rule. Last year, teams were 3 for 50 in onside kicks, and which is the lowest recovery rate since 2001. Basically, now with onside kicks in the NFL, it has to have certain circumstances. So you have to be down, it has to be late in the game, and you have to notify the other team that you're going to kick the onside kick. I'm not really sure what the problem with the onside kick was to begin with, why they decided that the onside kick wasn't a big deal. I mean, I don't understand having to notify the other team. Doesn't that kind of take away some sort of the surprise? I know that most teams weren't really using the onside kick in random situations. They were using it when the team knew it was coming, but there were certain times when you start a half or something and you would have the kicker dribble it 10 yards and then you would end up recovering the ball. But of course the players are not near the line so much anymore. So it would be kind of cheating if you were to kick it 10 yards, I guess. Talking myself out of this whole onside kick thing. I don't know. They got to do something with it, because you have to give teams a chance for the drama and for their own selves. You have to give teams a chance to be able to recover an onside kick. It's not something like, I love seeing a team recover an onside kick and then go down and score and change some of the complexion of the game. But 3 for 50 is not good. Now, they said they were really happy with the kickoffs from last year, the dynamic kickoff, which I did like the kickoff last year. I'm hoping that they keep it the way it is. They're also thinking that they're going to move the touchback on kickoffs from the 30 to the 35-yard line, which it's only 5 yards. But still, why do you got to give more offenses an easier chance to get to the end zone? I mean, you think Patrick Mahomes needs 5 extra yards? Move him back. Put him on the 20. Also under consideration for this coming year, expansion of the video replay people to be able to either pick up flags or throw flags. And they're going to consider roughing the passer, unnecessary roughness, face mask, tripping, illegal crackback, and horse collar tackle for the replay video review. They're gonna consider those to like expand it so that you could either pick up a flag or call the penalty itself. The overtime, they're saying they need to get overhauled as well. They think that they may end up going from the current playoff overtime rules, which are each team gets a chance to possess the ball. It doesn't matter if the first team scores a touchdown. Currently, regular season NFL overtime rules, if the receiving team scores a touchdown on the first possession, then the game is over. If they kick a field goal, the other team gets a chance to get the ball and they can go down and try to win the game or tie it up. And after the other team ties it up or whatever, it goes to sudden death. But 56 receiving teams won 56.8% of games in overtime from 2017 to 2024, up from just 55.4 from 2001 to 2011. So they like made this rule so that they could counteract the sudden death thing where teams could just score one touchdown and that was it. Game is over. And it didn't work. It actually went up. Receiving teams won 56.8% of the games versus 55.4% of the games. See, look at me doing math, everybody. Or at least just repeating numbers. Not so much math, just repeating numbers. All right, this guy who took public transit across the entire state of California. He is, where did I put it? I just had this open. I was just reading it, and now I can't find it. This is what happens when you're in a room by yourself. Oh, yeah, someone asked about Frank earlier today, and there was no Inside San Diego Baseball Sam Levitt, so they didn't have Frank come in today. But here it is. I found it. His YouTube name is Adam Does Not Exist. Very clever, Adam. But he decided he was going to do a whole YouTube video and take public transit from San Francisco to LA. Now, here's how it went. It took him 2 days, and I would have to say that by the end of the 2 days, he was over it. But here's how you are able to get to LA from San Francisco without without flying or without taking Uber or driving, but you take a city bike from downtown San Francisco to the nearest BART Red Line, which BART is their subway. Take the BART to Millbrae, hop on Caltrans to Gilroy, which is a train. From Gilroy, you're hopping Muni buses an hour or so at a time. Gilroy to Salinas, Salinas to King City to Paso Robles, Paso Robles to San Luis Obispo, San Luis Obispo to Santa Barbara, Santa Barbara to Ventura, and on and on and on. But it took him 2 days, and he said it cost him $61, so you're saving a ton of money. But it sounds like his travel plans were very tough. Like, he had to go into some of the rest stops, and he just said it was one of the most disgusting places in the world, those rest stop bathrooms. He packed snacks. The hardest for him, the hardest thing to find was an unlocked bathroom. So I guess the unlocked bathroom, I find unlocked bathrooms all the time. I don't know what he's talking about. But I thought this was crazy. Why would you ever just try to take public transit from San Francisco to LA? So if you want to see this video that he did, just go to Adam Does Not Exist and you will find this. But I would click through the video earlier, and I clicked through, and it just seems brutal. I don't understand. Like, I really think that I think I would be crazy enough to do something like this, but I wouldn't want to. And I guess this is what you do when you have to make content on YouTube, is you take public transit from San Francisco to LA. Just a couple minutes left here. Max Scherzer. I didn't get a chance to say this earlier because I knew the guys were going to disagree with me. But Max Scherzer is very upset about the automated balls and strike system. And Max Scherzer is saying that he doesn't understand why we need to do this, and he doesn't understand why we need to change and take the human element out of the game. Well, here it is, Max Scherzer. Like, just because it's going to affect you doesn't mean it's a bad thing. And that's what I feel like he's coming from. Now, Tony did say earlier that Max Scherzer thinks deeply about a lot of this. And so it's not like he's just coming out and saying, like, I don't like it just because. He's coming out and saying I don't like it because he has stats behind it. And he is not a fan of, because as a pitcher, he could throw a ball that is a ball called a strike, and that's all good. He could also throw a strike that's called a ball, and if he doesn't challenge it or whatever, he's not going to get the makeup call. So what he's kind of saying is he needs the makeup call as a part of the game. And what I'm saying is there is no such thing as a makeup call. Isn't that true? There's no such thing as a makeup call. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to call each pitch independently, I would think. That's what you're directed to do by Major League Baseball. I honestly like Max Scherzer. He's a little bit much on certain things, but I think he's way off here. Like, it's not that big of a deal to me for 2 challenges, possibly more if you keep your challenges, but for just a couple challenges throughout the game. And how many times is Max Scherzer going to find himself in a huge spot where they need to challenge it? And like Tony said earlier, the challenging can swing an entire game, and so that doesn't really bother me. If it swings an entire game, I mean, if the call was correct to begin with, then they wouldn't have to challenge it, and no one would be the wiser. No one would say anything. Max Scherzer is going to fight against this, and he's also angry because he thought it was a 3D strike zone, and now it's just a 2D strike zone. So there's an article in The Athletic talking all about Max Scherzer and what he was saying about this automated balls and strike zone. Bottom line is Max Scherzer looks really, really good. I guess we haven't seen him pitch very well in the last couple of years because he's getting older and he's been hurt, but he looked really, really, really good. And I'm glad that they don't have to face Max Scherzer. Is he a Blue Jay now? Yeah, he's a Blue Jay. He is a Blue Jay. It's kind of crazy. Max Scherzer has made a ton of money in his career, like an insane amount of money in his career. Let me go quickly look and see how much money Max Scherzer has made in his career, because it's up there. It's got to be one of the better earnings in baseball history. His career earnings, he's earned $345 million over his career of 16 seasons. He's a Scott Boras guy. You know what? That changes my opinion about people when they're Scott Boras guys. It means that I don't know what it means. I'm not going to make any claims right now when I'm done at the end of 5 hours of radio and it can get me in trouble. So let's go here.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
All right. Here's the Daily Gripe, and I'm going to admit it. And I don't necessarily want to admit it. But you know when you go to like doctors, I can't even say it. I'm so nervous. You know when you go to like doctor's offices, dentists, any sort of optometrist, any sort of office like that, and you have to wait in the waiting room? You know how they have all of those magazines that are sitting out? Do you ever read them? I know I read them, but I go for one magazine in particular. And I did this maybe last week. I was at the doctor getting my shoulder checked on, actually. And I picked up a magazine. It was one of those highlights magazines. You know what I'm talking about? Like the kid magazine where you have to like find certain things in the magazine. Like it's like Find Waldo. I don't know. I'm not describing this very well, but I think people know what I'm talking about. The highlight magazine. This is the Daily Gripe. People judging me for reading the highlight magazine. I'm not even really reading. I'm just doing the whole search thing in the magazine. I love these things. It passes the time. It's not that big of a deal. I don't have to deal with anything. I just wait and sit there and look at the magazine. But I swear to God that someone looked at me in the doctor's office and gave me a dirty look for it. And I feel self-conscious when I'm reading these highlights magazines. So if you're someone who reads a highlight magazine in a doctor's office and you're an adult, don't feel bad. It's a great way to pass the time. It is a 100% great way to pass the time. But they are going to look at you and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, look at that guy over there. How sad is it that he has to look at the highlights magazines as he's waiting for his doctor's appointment? Can someone please go over there and make sure that that man is okay? He's reading a highlights magazine. That's how I feel people are saying. Diesel said, haha, I don't know about that one. Rod said, at least I can read. You know what, Rod? That's a good thing. And McKee said, I guess it's better than the AARP mag. Better than Sports Illustrated. That's true, too. You guys are making me feel better. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for making me feel better about my highlights reading at doctor's offices. All right, that's it for the Skraby Show. Thank you to everybody who was here today. Thank you to everybody who was here this week. I'll be back with Sammy tomorrow, 2 p.m., 2 to 6. No Skraby Show for the rest of the week, but we'll be talking tomorrow. Ben and Woods from spring training, 6 a.m. on 97.3 The Fan. Have a good night, everybody.